Welcome back to another Car Talks. I am Adam Bertram, your host, as usual, and it is time for my regular rant, advice column, what have you, about anything tech, career, mental health, or anything that I think that I'm personally going through, that I have gone through, that may help you out as well. For this Car Talks, I'd like to talk a little bit about the job hunt. So, right now it is October 2019, and I've been going through quite the ordeal of finding a job. So I had been independent, working on my own for the past 2 years or so now. At the time I decided to go independent, I love the freedom that I have. I love the freedom that I had before, and I still love the freedom. I love the fact that you can kind of get up and kind of do what you want. But at the same time, there's a lot of things that go into that that aren't necessarily so glamorous. Like you get to feel a little lonely. You get to feel you don't really feel like you're working on something bigger than yourself, I guess. And there's a lot of different things, but that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is kind of the job hunt, is whether you're going from being independent or you already have a job, of how to find a tech job, and more specifically a remote tech job. So in my position, I have been a remote employee for 8 years or so now, and honestly, I can never go back. I'm so much more productive at home. I don't have a commute, so I can do anything I need to do to get things done. And luckily, I'm a pretty driven and passionate person about what I'm doing, so I normally can get a lot more done remotely from home versus the office. So I set off to look for a job. Look for a full-time job, which I haven't done in quite a while, because honestly, the last time I actively sought out a full-time job was probably 9 years ago, something like that. And I wanted to kind of talk about what this process is, what maybe somebody that is just now looking for a new job, that may be looking for a new job, just feel out how this kind of process works, and maybe give you some tips to help you get the job that you'd love to have. So the first thing that I did was that I reached out to my network. So that's a big thing. If you want to find a new job, I hate this saying, but it's honestly about, it's not what you know, it's who you know, sort of thing. That rings true when it comes to searching for a job, especially if you have a big network and a lot of friends in the tech industry, and that currently hold jobs similar to what you would like to have. And fortunately, through my community work, which I've been preaching forever about, people need to get involved in the community and write blog posts, go to conferences, user groups, all this sort of thing. Just get to know a lot of different people. Try to help as many people as you possibly can to kind of build up a network of people that will generally appreciate what you contribute and what you do, and maybe help them out, and maybe someday they may be in a position to help you out. So that's one thing that I have that I've really tried to lean on, especially on Twitter, is trying to get referrals from people that know me or that I know, either online or locally, to get some kind of referrals. Say, hey, oh yeah, we had this job, or hey, we have this job. The advantage of that is you could kind of get a leg up in the interviewing process, because it's a lot better to come into a job, even if the job is posted publicly and they're getting lots of resumes. It's human nature to prefer someone that's referred from an internal candidate, kind of a warm contact, if you will, versus somebody cold just coming on the street that nobody knows. If somebody can, and the company can vouch for you and say, yes, I know this person, I know he does a good work, I know she does an awesome job at this and this and this, it's going to provide a lot of credence to you in your position. So it's really, really important to just make yourself public, get out there, help as many people as you possibly can, online or locally, and just establish that network. Having that network not only gives you a leg up if you apply via the normal interviewing process, but I've had times where I've been told of jobs that aren't even posted yet. So you can get leads on jobs that aren't even posted yet at all, that may not ever be posted. They just kind of hire whenever they get a referral. You'll have lots of opportunities for that sort of thing. However, if you're just starting out and you may not have a network to kind of rely on and people to really help you out in, you'll have to go through the typical application process. And this process, I've done this too, and I have been doing this as well, because my thought is to treat the job application process is sort of like a funnel. That's how I treat the job application process. So I treat this as a funnel, similar to how sales and marketing teams treat customers or potential customers, to where they will come in and do sort of on-demand generation campaigns. So in the marketing speak, that's essentially just drumming up interest, general interest about the company or product. There's no intention for a sale. There's no intention for even using a product. It's just general interest. And then that's the top of the funnel. And then once you go down, then it kind of goes down into a sales lead, to where they get a little bit more interested in the company or the product. And then maybe the salesperson reaches out to them, and then they try to give them the sale. Then it turns into a sale, customer, and then it turns into support. So it's kind of like it goes from a really, really broad perspective all the way down to a very small one whenever they finally get the sales, and the sales come in at the bottom. That's how I treat the job application process. So what I personally do is, what I found the most success with is that you look for as many jobs as possible across as many different sites, and use your network, use Google, Monster, Career Builder, Flex Jobs, We Work Remotely, Stack Overflow. Find as many different jobs as you possibly can that seem interesting. The job doesn't have to be, the job description does not have to be perfect by any means. It doesn't have to be the perfect job. If you're serious about finding a job, you need to be applying for as many different positions as you think that, yeah, that would be interesting to do. I would like more information. A common thing a lot of us do, that I used to do back in the day, was I considered a job move a big thing. Typically it is a big thing for a lot of different people, and I had to make sure that the job was perfect, and I had the feeling in my head that if I applied for a job, then I automatically treated that as well, I'm going to get the job. In the back of your head, you kind of think, well, if I apply the job, you may or may not. But mentally, you think that, okay, well, I can't apply for more than one job because I have to see this one throughout the whole process and then choose another one. That's not the way to go at all if you're really serious about getting a job. If you're serious about getting a new job, you need to treat the application process as hi, I'm Adam, I would like more information about this job. It's not, I'm going to take this job wherever you take. I'm not completely desperate. I'm going to take this job with whatever salary you give me and whatever you tell me in the interview process. Treat the application as simply a request for more information. And if you think about it like that, then you will be more likely to just spread out your work across many, many different jobs. So to give you an example, during this job hunt that I've been doing here recently, I've applied for or gotten leads from jobs for about 30 or 40 different companies and different jobs. And there are some downsides to this, and there's some upsides. The upsides is, you start out with a huge pool up top, and you're able to go through the interview process and the screening process and filter those down. Now, some of those jobs are obviously going to be filtered out on their own, because you'll find out probably, in my unfortunate experience, over half the jobs you will never even get a response. If you do get a response, it'll be 2 months from the time that you apply. So a lot of those jobs are just naturally going to just filter out themselves. And then you also get to the times where if you have the application, the budget may be cut, so those jobs come out. So eventually, the jobs themselves that you apply for will kind of trickle, will get filtered out through the funnel, and the more your better opportunities will get sent down the funnel that way. So the more jobs you can start out with at the top of the funnel, the better opportunity you're going to get at the bottom to have just that one that you're looking for. So what I've done is I've done about 30 or 40. Half of them will never get a response. Probably a quarter of them have dropped out because either they don't have the budget, they pick somebody else without even interviewing me, all kinds of different reasons. But they eventually just fall out themselves. And what you'll come up with is a few different good candidates, the ones that reply quickly, that you get interviews from. Interviewing is the next kind of level in the funnel that I'm talking about here. The interviewing process is normally, if it's a fairly sized company or a bigger company, you'll start out with either an external or an internal recruiter, the talent acquisition team, I guess if you will. They'll talk to you probably on a phone interview about what your experience is, what your skills are, questions about the company, that sort of thing. This isn't the opportunity to talk about specifics about the job or the team. Once you go through that process to where you're hopefully completely honest with all your answers, you'll then get passed on to the hiring manager. And the hiring manager is the one that's actually going to be your boss typically for the job. And they will talk to you specifically about the general team culture, the dynamic, kind of what the job specifically entails. They can talk more about the company, but at the company level, the talent acquisition team or the recruiter, the internal recruiter, I guess you will be the ones that are most likely to answer that question. You'll have that conversation either on site or phone. If you're going for a remote role, that's when it would probably be a phone interview. And if you get through that, then you'll typically be interviewed with the team that you will be on. And the team discussion is generally either a one-on-one between each member of the team or as a group. And this interview process is generally like how each team member's opinion of you, like how they feel like you would fit in with the team. At this point, they will probably ask you more technical questions. In the first two layers of the interview process, there will be some technical questions, especially with the hiring manager. But even the hiring manager, in some instances, they don't have the exact role that you will have, so they don't know the exact technical issues that you may be working with. The team will then ask you typically the technical issues and maybe just ask you some questions to kind of get to know you, kind of get a feel for your personality and so on. And after that, you're either offered the job or you are not. And fortunately, this is another thing to where some good companies will immediately tell you, "I'm sorry you didn't get the job," and then tell you why. The reason why I tweeted about this recently was that a lot of companies say, "I'm sorry you didn't get hired," but they would never tell you why. So you've never given any feedback. So I highly encourage you, if you do get rejected for the job, politely ask, why didn't I get it? Because if they say like, well, you're an asshole in the interview, or you didn't have experience in X or Y or Z, you'll know those things to work on for similar jobs in the future. So, overall, the job hunting process, I could probably do a few more of these videos on the job hunting process, then I might do it in the future. But overall, honestly, it's a really stressful job. You've got, especially if you're approaching it like I do, to where I just carpet bomb as many jobs as I possibly can to really have all the options and that I can to really feel like I've done a really good job researching the market and the industry and figuring out which ones that I want. And you'll get times where you're constantly weighing, you'll have an interview, you'll be excited about it, and then you may just, you may get denied the job even though it sounded great, or many different things. It's a very stressful time, but fortunately, if you can hang on and get through all that stress, that weight, that anxiety that you may have in knowing what the next step in your career be, I guarantee it's going to be worth it. Because if you go through, if you treat the process as, reach out to network first, then do the application process as a funnel, I guarantee that you're going to find a great job that you will love in the future.